TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
It's time to say goodbye to hold music and say hello to fast customer support with Service Cloud. With trusted AI and data working together, you can skip long wait times and deliver efficient, personalized service right away, all while keeping support costs low and more customers happy. Reimagine your customer support with the #1 AI CRM for service. Learn what's possible at salesforce.com/products/service.
This episode is brought to you by Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business. Want to advance your career or switch fields? An MBA from Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business can help. Earn your degree from a top-ranked business school with a thought-provoking curriculum, one-on-one leadership coaching, support from experienced career counselors, and full-time, online hybrid, and accelerated MBA formats. Join the intelligent future. Visit cmu.edu/Tepper to learn more.
It's time to get your hustle on. Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. I'm your host, Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm CFO and co-founder of 3T Warrior Academy. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Age of Radio. Check our 3T Warrior Academy YouTube channel out if you want to learn more about that. And check out Age of Radio at ageofradio.com. If this is your first time tuning into the Age of Jeremy, this is a show about my life as an entrepreneur and creator and all the ups and downs and people I meet along the way. You can also find me at our 3T Behind the Lens YouTube channel that shows all the ins and outs of everything 3T Warrior Academy and all the fun that we have at work, I guess. Make sure to follow me on all the socials at Age of Jeremy, except Twitter. It's at Age of Jeremy Q. And subscribe to my YouTube channel at Age of Jeremy. Before we jump into this, I just want to let you know that this episode of Age of Jeremy is brought to you by Signature Home Styles. If you're looking to upgrade your home or office, tired of being second when it comes to taste and style, look no further than Signature Home Styles at www.signaturehomestyles.biz/Age of Radio. Signature Home Styles is America's online destination for home goods and decor, transforming millions of homes in the U.S. for over 50 years. Candles, coffee, florals, lighting, wall decor, and more. Signature Home Styles has thousands of unique products not found anywhere else. Don't forget to check out their famous Sparkle Glass. Sparkle Glass is an eye-catching LED glass cylinder only available at Signature Home Styles. Spark Glass can be purchased with seasonal or custom inserts, bringing astonishing brilliance to all rooms for any occasion. Don't settle for second place home decor. Get the best at Signature Home Styles. Make sure to visit our Age of Radio partner page at www.signaturehomestyles.biz/Age of Radio. That's www.signaturehomestyles.biz/Age of Radio. All right, today is a recording from our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group showcase, where I interview a content creator from our Facebook group. This was actually the first one that I did. I think on the last one that I did last Friday with Tatiana, I actually said that that might have been the first one, but this was the very first one. It is with a gentleman named Brent from Home Video Hustle. Brent essentially hosts Home Video Hustle, usually with his partner PJ, and by partner I mean friend PJ, and another guest, and they pick a random movie out of a bag. Now, it's a movie that the guest has never seen before, and then they watch it and they discuss it, and it's usually pretty humorous. And this podcast is near and dear to my heart. It's part of the Age of Radio podcast network and has been probably since 2019, maybe even 2018. And you can subscribe to the podcast Home Video Hustle wherever you get your podcast. You can also subscribe to their YouTube channel, Home Video Hustle. I love any opportunity that I get to chat with Brent. And you can also find links to their socials in the episode description. And again, like I said, I love chatting with Brent. It was a great conversation. I had a blast. I hope he had a blast. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Brent. Enjoy. Without further ado, there's a amazing young man next to me, a handsome young man that has actually been part of Age of Radio probably since we started Age of Radio. Wow. I have the amazing Brent from a show called Home Video Hustle. And I've known Brent for a long time, but the honest truth is this is probably the first time that me and Brent have actually talked on screen together.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah. So why don't you, Brent, tell me a little bit about, well, real quick, before we do that, the purpose of this showcase show is to allow, like I said before, content creators to come up. So what we're going to do, if you are interested in being part of the show, just go ahead and hit me up in the Facebook group, because we're going to try to do these every 3 weeks or every month or something along those lines. But so the purpose is for Brent to go ahead and tell us a little bit about his show, a little bit about stuff that he has going on, and just have a fun conversation. And if you guys have any questions for him in the chat, go ahead and feel free to chat those, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right. So sorry about that, Brent. So I'll hand it back over to you. If you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about what your podcast does, how long it's been around, and what you're all about.
All right. I host a show called The Home Video Hustle. We've been around since May of 2017. I'm pretty sure we've been part of Age of Radio since 2018. I don't remember the date, but I do remember the very first episode that came out as part of Age of Radio. We watched the Mortal Kombat The Journey Begins, the little animated VHS movie that came out leading up to the first Mortal Kombat movie. So I do remember that. It was like that and Dead or Alive. So we had 2 video game movies back to back on the show. Nice. It's hard. I tell people always ask about the podcast. It's hard to say because we're a movie podcast technically, but we talk about everything. There's a lot of times where we won't even start talking about the movie until like an hour in. And it can range from like maybe like an hour podcast to where like on my birthday this year, it was 6 hours.
Jesus. Did you do the whole 6 hours? Like, did you release the whole 6 hours?
Oh, it was unedited too. I was like, no, we put it all out.
Good, awesome. That's cool.
We did Falling Down, the Michael Douglas movies. That's one of me and PJ's favorite movies back in high school.
Oh, I love that movie. That's a good movie.
We was hyped for it. So we was like, okay, we finally get to talk about it. And it was my birthday, so I bought a big ass liter of Ciroc.
Oh no!
and we lit, and no joke, we drunk a little bit more than 2/3 of it in that sitting.
Wow!
So it's 6 hours of drunkenness. Like I go ahead and say I couldn't put no ads on that episode because there was a lot of music in that episode.
So what's the premise? So is the premise still the same? Because I know, like when I look at how we tell people about Home Video Hustle, it's about PJ picking out a video, right? And then something that he hasn't seen or has seen, and then you guys kind of watch that. Can you tell me a little bit about like how you guys thought of that up, or is that still like the premise of the show?
It still is. PJ's been kind of MIA for a minute. He actually been off focus. He's been trying to get his music going,
right?
And so he took the summer to go do that. So it's been kind of like just either me and Brendan from What Were They Thinking podcast, or my brother. It's been just a revolving door of people since PJ been gone. But that's pretty much the basic premise, though. It started because one day me and PJ were sitting here and we were watching. It was actually 3 different movies that finally got me to do it. First, we watched Marked for Death, the Steven Seagal movie.
Oh yeah.
We just talked smack over it and laughed about it. Then we watched Casino, and then the thought started forming. I was like, and I started listening to podcasts. I'm like, I wonder. And then actually, the one that really started it was we watched Kiss Me Deadly, the Ralph Meeker movie from the 50s. And me and PJ were sitting there laughing at it. I was like, you want to do a podcast? We can talk about movies and everything. And PJ looked at me with the straightest face and was like, what the hell is a podcast? PJ is like the most, like, we were 2 different spectrums. I'm like, I'm going to school for IT and I've always been good with computers. PJ knows absolutely nothing about computers or tech, any of that shit. So once I basically tell him, like, a podcast is just what we do now, just in front of a microphone. And so I talked him into it. And PJ is also grew up like very sheltered. He was not allowed to really watch anything except for black movies. He watched like Spike Lee movies and all that, but a lot of stuff that we've all seen, like Star Wars, he had never seen before.
Yeah.
So that's basically the whole idea was I was just showing him the first 10 episodes of me showing him movies that he had never seen before, like the Star Wars and Jim Cotta and Manos, The Hands of Fate and stuff like that. But then I went to a record store that our video store used to be around. I spent $150 just buying movies that I thought would be good for the podcast. And a lot of them are still over here untouched because there's like 3 bags over here. And I decided one day, I was like, you know what, let's just take a bunch of them and put them in a bag at random. And that'll be a YouTube thing we can do. We go on YouTube and you just pick a movie out at random. And that's how we pretty much do it, unless there's something that I specifically like, no, we're watching this week.
That's crazy.
That's pretty much the basic premise.
That's cool. But you guys have so with that, do you have any, because I know sometimes you guys like pick specific genres to focus on. Like sometimes you'll do, because I know like the one that comes to mind, so like during Black History Month, you'll do black movie or movies with black stars and things like that, or black directors. Are there any other types of like genres that you focused on during like a month or so or a period of time?
Oh, there's the biggest one. Because for Black History Month, we do all February, we do all black movies, but we also do it in March. We do February and March. So since we got the shortest month, we extending it. But the biggest one that actually we started doing first was horror movies. Because we do horror movies all October and November. Because like, I love horror movies. One of my biggest collection of movies up there is horror. And so I was like, let's just extend it a month. Everybody else is like getting ready to do Christmas stuff. I was like, no, we're gonna keep doing horror. And then all December we do Christmas movies too, but it can be like, it can range from, It's a Wonderful Life to Die Hard to Santa Slay to, Silent Night, Deadly Night, all the good Christmas movies, in my opinion.
Right, all of the best Christmas movies. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
The horror stuff is what got us a lot of listeners, though. Like, actually, we got hip to you because of Angel and Nikki and all them in Coming to Dead podcast, and they got hip to us because of the Thing episode back in the horror episode. So. The horrors, it's like a special, like PJ looks forward to that every year doing the horror movies. That's a big time for us.
So what's PJ focus on? Because he does rap or he does the music?
He's a rapper.
Does he produce or rap or do both or whatever?
No, he just raps. He doesn't produce. Raps? He tried to talk me into learning how to produce for him, but I ain't got the time for it right now.
So how's he focusing on his rap career? Like, is he just focused on making the music and going and performing? Is he performing in your guys' local area and stuff, or is he just making it right now?
He's done a little bit of both. He's making music more than he's performing, but he has done a couple shows before. But he went to he has a bunch of people in Atlanta. He went down to Atlanta for like 3 months and he recorded a lot down there. He had a friend down there that has a studio and access and all that. So he was down there for a while. He's back home now, but now school started. So I still haven't been able to get him back yet because he's been having, do his father thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So what, you're still going to school then, correct?
Yeah, just did some homework.
yeah, I know. When I jumped on here, you said I was just finishing up homework. What are you going to? Are you still going to school for IT, or are you doing something else?
I'm going to school for IT. There's a course that's like IT Essentials. It's like a bachelor degree. It's basically just like crash course, like learn all this different type of stuff.
Yeah.
And because right now I have a job as I'm technically supposed to be a server repair tech, but they got me doing everything but servers right now, so it's kind of annoying. But that's another story. But I'm trying to get IT going. So I've been the family IT dude for years. So I figured one day I was like, why don't I just get paid for this shit? I mean, I've been doing it for years already. Get good at it and get paid for it. Because my mom and dad love telling the story about how I fixed a VCR at 2 years old. So it's destiny.
That's kind of crazy. So how did you fix the VCR at 2 years old?
I have no idea. I don't even remember it.
You don't remember it.
My mom and dad, the way they tell the story is they hated my dad been trying to fix it for like weeks or something like that. She said I legit went behind the TV. They don't know what I did, but when I came back out, it was working again.
That's crazy.
I don't know what I did, but it worked.
So how long? So I know that you do a lot of the podcasts. You like you do cross podcasts, like what with Brendan from What Were They?
Oh yeah.
What Were They Thinking, right? How did that happen? How did you meet Brendan?
I met Brendan because when I first started the podcast, I was just out there trying to network as much as I could. And so I would be bored a lot of times at work, and I would just go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever it was. And I would just type in like movie podcasts and everything. That's how I got cool. A lot of different shows, for real. And I saw that they were movie podcasts, but they reviewed, I think it was WrestleMania 11. And that caught my attention, like the movie podcast that they reviewing. I love wrestling too. I have to say that part. So I was like, okay, let me see what they talking about. And then I liked the show, left them a review. they thanked me and they left a review for our show, and then we started talking like that. And Brendan has pretty much become like I always call him the unofficial Canadian co-host. He's been on a ton of our episodes, and I'm on their show constantly.
He does What Were They Thinking, and then he does For Screen and Country, I think, is one of his other shows. Do you do on both of them, or just What Were They Thinking?
I haven't been on For Screen and Country before, but he was doing a wrestling podcast for a little while, but he kind of fell out with the dude that was running it. But I did do that one with him a couple of times.
Yeah. So for people that are listening that are into podcasts, like or they have their own podcast and they want to do cross promotions, when you meet these people, like how do you reach out to them? Do you reach out to them on Twitter, or do you find their email and their podcast, or how do you meet up with them?
Twitter is the way to go. That's pretty much how I meet everybody.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because when we just started recently focusing on Twitter for Age of Radio, and when Joey, who I think is in the chat right now, he actually, real quick, he asked you something about excited for Blockbuster coming soon to Netflix. I think
I saw that
documentary.
I think it's a TV series from what I understood. I was reading about. It's like a little comedy show or something.
Oh, that's cool. And so anyway, so when Joey was doing started with this, he was like always talking about Twitter and how everybody's on Twitter. I was like, really? Is everybody really on Twitter? And then like after I started going to Twitter, I was like, fuck, that's where like everything is at. Like it's crazy because you never think about, well, I never thought about that because like with some of my other businesses, we're mainly on TikTok and we're mainly on like Instagram and things like that. And so when I started going into Twitter, like every single person has a podcast is like really big into Twitter, it seems like. It seems like a really good place to like cross promote and meet other people and stuff. So is that where you guys mainly hang out for Home Video Hustle? Is on Twitter? Is that where you mainly, if people want to follow you on socials and things like that?
Oh yeah, you follow us at capital H, capital V, capital H, capital P, lowercase I cast, HVH podcast. I have to say that. I'm legally obligated to say that. But yeah.
But so how did you get into listening to podcasts? Have you been listening to podcasts for a really long time prior to starting this, or?
Since almost 10 years in 2013. I was working a job at a hospital that I fucking despised. So I was trying to do anything to keep my attention off of it from like yelling at people. So I was like, okay, I had an iPod Touch at that time. And I was just going through and I saw it said podcast. And I was like, yeah, let me go check a couple of these out. And I started listening to a podcast called Now Playing Podcast. And they just basically review movies, but they do it as a series. Like they won't jump around like we do. If they do Friday the 13th, they'll do one through all of them and then they'll move on to the next thing like that.
Nice.
And then there was another one I would listen to called We Hate Movies. And so I was basically between those two podcasts, I was listening to them. And then when I was watching those movies with PJ, like I was talking about, every time we watched one and talked about it, the idea grew each time until I finally just asked him. And I had to explain what a podcast was.
So you seem to be like really into movies. So I love film too. I love movies. I love film. Most of the stuff that you guys talk about, I've seen because when I was younger, that was the main thing that I wanted to do was make film and be a director and writer and all of that stuff. More towards like the creator part, not necessarily I did acting in high school as a thespian and stage acting and things like that. But like I really like writing and coming up with the story and directing people and things like that. So I know that like that made me have like a really strong passion for film and movies. But like my wife and my niece who live with me, she's like they're not really big movie buffs. But so like what got you like really into movies? Because you know so much about movies and like movies that most people would never have heard of, you usually know of, right?
It's right in the background behind me. Now I've been forever now. Funny enough, I actually was talking about this with PJ. I completely forgot. He asked me what the first movie was I saw in the theater that I remember. I think it was The Page Master.
Really?
Macaulay Culkin movie. Yeah, I think that's the very first one I remember seeing. That was Batman crazy. Forever.
That had some great special effects in it too. It was a dope movie for its
rewatch it. It's been probably since then since I've seen it. But I was like, that was what I wanted to go see. Wasn't it? My mom always talks about it because she fell asleep twice. But no, I think the biggest thing that got me really into movies, I think, might have been my Uncle Michael. Because he would always on the holidays bring movies over and everything. And the family would get together and they'd be down there watching them. And then, of course, being a kid, I'm always curious, like, what are they down there doing? Everybody was playing the video games, but I started going down. It's also how I got into Mystery Science Theater, too, because of my Uncle Michael. And that's also another big thing that got me into movies, too, was that show. And also probably led to me doing the podcast. But that's pretty much how it was. And now I'll go to the library all the time, and I would, grab VHS tapes because I'm old, kids. And I would just randomly just buy stuff whenever I got money. Like, I remember years ago, I was in middle school and I was at Target, and I had bought a copy. I bought Predator 2 and Reservoir Dogs.
Dude, dope movies.
And my dad was kind of iffy about the stuff I'd watch, so I would legit get home from like school, do my homework real quick, shut my door, and then watch the movies with my headphones plugged into the TV so they couldn't hear what I was watching. And I kept the DVDs like under my bed so they couldn't know I had them.
That's
so
crazy.
It's been crazy for a while. Like a lot of times, like people get like, they would get like toys and all that for Christmas. My mom would buy me like, I don't know, Men in Black on VHS tape or something. Like, it's always been movies. I tell you, the big three for me: movies, video games, and music. Those are the big three.
Those are the big three for me too. That's very, very. So, what are your? So, speaking of that, well, before I get into this next question, so as far as so one question about podcasts, one question about movies. So, podcasts. Mm-hmm. What are your favorite podcasts that you're listening to now?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot like that? Everybody listening now. Honestly, my favorite podcast still is I still listen to Now Playing. That's like the original one. I still listen to it. But then, of course, all my friends pretty much are like, What Were They Thinking podcast, the Superiority Complex podcast,
good answers.
45, everything I learned from I got. You can see it now. I'll tell you, they're all listening now. I gotta make sure. But it's true though. Like, those are some of my favorite, all my friends, because it's funny. Because that's I tell people all the time. It's like a podcast, like MCU, especially with like certain shows, or especially like me and What Were They Thinking and everything I learned from movies and all that. It's like, if you listen to one show, you'll get jokes that might pop up in another show. It's like, if you listen to What Were They Thinking, like they have a soundbite of me every week that just says plot every time they start talking about the movie. And if you don't know me, you don't know what the hell that is. So
and that's one of the things I have having Joey bring in shows and stuff, and all the people that he knows on Twitter, like Everything I Love for Movies, What Were They Thinking for Screen and Country, and there's a bunch of the other ones too that are on the Age of Radio Network. But it's really cool, and one of the things that I hope to do is we try to grow this and make it better, so you guys can get, obviously, paid more money and get sponsored as well, because that was the original intent of all of this, right? I think that's one of my favorite things that I like seeing, is like seeing one show and then you see other shows beyond that show, and it creates kind of like a universe between everybody of things that are happening, and then you start to get those like little jokes between the different shows because you're listening to all of them. And that's something that I think I've liked seeing, as especially with the movie podcast, because we've had some true crime ones, especially when Color Me Dead was very active. They did a lot of cross true crime stuff. And then when Murder Under the Midnight Sun, she would do that with some other ones as well. So I think that that's one of my favorite things about the cross promotion stuff. So then the other question about movies though. So what are your favorite movies? And that's a hard question, because I'm sure there's tons of them, because that's what I think of. But like, if you could name like a few, just so you would recommend to people to go watch that you don't think that maybe they've seen.
I was gonna say, how much time you got? I can name a whole bunch of them. That's always like, I get asked that a lot, and it's like, I tell people, just like people like, who's your favorite rappers? This changes depending on when you ask, but off the top of my head, like some of my absolute favorites I can always throw out there is Blade Runner is always like near the top. That's one of my absolute favorites. See, Hard Boiled, the John Woo movie.
Oh, that's a good movie.
I fucking love that movie.
I love that movie.
Do the Right Thing, always.
Do the Right Thing is a good one. And I think we're probably close to the same age. I don't know how old you are.
I'm 31.
Okay, so I'm 38. So a lot of the stuff that you've seen and grew up on is the same stuff that I've seen and grown up on. So usually a lot of the times, that's why I think when you say a lot of the movies, I know what you're talking about, because I watched them growing up. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I'm gonna go. Screw. This is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just name a bunch of movies I love that nobody probably knows about. Here we go. I got you. So, Oversexed Rug Suckers from Mars.
Never seen it.
I had a feeling.
Okay, so hold on real quick. What type of movie is that? Is that like a campy horror movie or what?
It's campy. I don't think it's horror. It's like it's hard. It's kind of I'll explain the scene and I'll let y'all decide from there. There's a scene. The aliens come from outer space and they inhabit a vacuum cleaner.
Okay.
A homeless guy sees the vacuum cleaner, unzips the part where you put the bag in there, and he fucks it. So,
it's campy, but maybe it's not a horror movie.
That's the type of stuff right there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, so that one, what was it fully called? What was the fully
Oversexed rug suckers from Mars.
Oversexed rug suckers from Mars? And do you have that on or do you have it on Blu-ray or DVD or what?
I got it on DVD. They need to put it on Blu-ray though. I'd buy
it. Okay, so what's another one? Do like two more that are just weird.
Ghetto Blaster.
I've never seen that. Nope.
Richard Hatch. It's basically kind of like Death Wish, really. A guy goes back home, a bunch of gang people are there, they kill his dad, and he goes around and like gets revenge on all of them. Has one of my favorite like final boss character death scenes though, because he doesn't even do it. Actually, the woman does it. She has this big gigantic Uzi and she shoots dude, and they put like 50 squibs on him because it's almost like his whole body explodes with bullet holes. What? It's the bag. If you go to YouTube and type in Home Video Hustle, next up on HVH episode 50, I put that clip in the video.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Everybody go check that out. Maybe once I get better at StreamYard, I'll go pull it and we would watch it. But
I would love it. The whole movie's on YouTube too. That's how we watch it. It's all on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool.
You said one more. What's another real weird one that I liked? Oh man, it's hard to narrow it down. Body Melt. There you go. It's one me and Brendan watched. Australian horror movie. There's a company, the pharmaceutical company, that's putting out products, and it legit makes people's bodies melt. That's the whole movie.
That's just literally the premise of the movie. That's awesome. That's so cool. So I'm assuming that because you watched a shit ton of movies then doing these podcasts, especially. So like when you do them with like Brendan and stuff, do you guys watch them like on a shared screen and talk about it, or how do you guys do it? Or you guys just talk about it?
We end up just talking about it. There was a period, it's not around anymore, and that's because it was called Rabbit or something, rabb.it.com or something like that. But Brendan and I would sometimes watch the movies together. Like when I worked my other job at night, like I was third shift, nobody knew what I was doing. So I'd be in the back room watching movies at midnight or something with Brendan. Or sometimes we would even host it. Like I watched I played Paid in Full, another good movie you guys should check out. And it was like me, Brendan, Steve, Izzy, Mike Bagford, and one of our listeners, like a bunch of people all watched it. We watched it together. So we used to kind of do that a little bit, but then that website died. We can't do it no more.
I think what we could probably get some people into, we could probably try to watch movies in Discord and like chit chat about them, and you guys could record them, or we could do that just for fun. Because that was something I was thinking about doing, trying to get the Discord going, is like have a place, because there's this other Discord that I have with different businesses called Collecti Labs. And so like one of the things that they do is they'll all go and join, like, I forgot, it was some free game online by Epic Games or something. I don't know what it was. And they went and played it, and like then they had everybody join the game, play it, but then they all joined inside of the Discord channel to talk to each other. And then they streamed the game from one of the computers through the Discord channel. And then everybody was able to watch it, and they were all able to talk together and have fun. And I'm thinking, and they also do movie night through there too. So we could probably try to figure out something that'd be cool to have you and Izzy and Brendan come, and then you guys could like commentate on one of your guys' like favorite movies or something, and then see if we get a bunch of people to watch. So we'll have to think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So Brent, you have you said video games too. So I can't not talk about video. Well, I don't get to play as many video games as I would like to, obviously, because I'm working all the time. But video games, like, what are you playing right now? Are you playing anything because of school and work, or are you playing something?
I got multiple games I'm playing right now. I can't play them as much as I want to. I just recently bought the new Saints Row. That's probably the newest game I'm playing.
Oh, nice. I saw that. I haven't got it yet.
It's not bad. I know a lot of reviews were out there saying it sucked and everything. I've been having fun playing it. Like a lot of people were complaining like, oh, it's the same type of game as before, but I like the games before, so fuck it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you've been playing a lot?
I'm looking at my little stack down here. I got that right there. I've been playing through Resident Evil Revelations 2.
That was good.
I never played that one.
Did you play Borderlands at all?
I own Borderlands, but I've never played it. It's like
Borderlands, right? Tiny Tina's whatever is literally like if you took Dungeons and Dragons, but you crossed it over into Borderlands. And like I started playing it once, and it was super addicting. My wife plays it. I played it one night, and I was like, I can't play this, or I'm never going to do anything else. Fun, but that's cool, man. So do you rap or make? You said you don't make beats or anything. You do the music thing. But you love music.
I love music. I still have my turntables. I used to DJ, but it's been a very long time since I've done it.
Yeah.
I just listen to the music now. But no, I'm not. I've kind of dabbled in like writing and stuff like that, but I've never. Well, PJ almost got me to do it once. I was at the studio with him, and he was going, and then I got hyped with him, and I started writing stuff down. I was gonna get in the booth, but then it was too like the time ran out, so I almost got me on the microphone.
Started doing it. That's cool. Do you have any? Do you have any kids or anything? You have no. You married or anything? I know. No.
Nope. Single, no kids. None of that. I guess it can change one day, but.
What state? I know you don't have to say city or anything like that, but I know you're on the East Coast, right?
They listen to the podcast. They know where I'm at. That's all right.
Where are you at? I always forget. I've even mailed you stuff and I forget.
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. That's right.
Midwest.
Is it? It's 6 o'clock there in Ohio?
6:32 p.m. right now.
Huh. I see. I really am horrible at geography. I would have guessed you guys were in fucking Central Time or something. I don't know. You're in Eastern though.
Like, legitimately, I'm not even gonna front about it. I didn't know about none of this stuff until I started podcasting. People were like, "What times are you in?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know." Ohio. What time zone is Ohio?
So if people want to listen to the podcast, where do they go? Anywhere?
Where do they go, Jen?
They go anywhere. So you listen to the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Luminary, Apple, Overcast, iTunes, or not iTunes, TuneIn. You can listen to the podcast anywhere, but you guys also have a Patreon if people want to come and join the Patreon, right?
Yes, sir. At patreon.com/home video hustle. We got 2 tiers, $1 tier, $3 tier. $1 tier, you can get bonus episodes, full video recordings of the podcast, which believe me, I tell people all the time, like there's probably every video has almost probably 30 minutes that don't make it to the audio, at least, especially when it's me and PJ together. But so you get all that. But the biggest thing though, is you can make us watch a movie. $1 tier, you do it once. $3 tier, you keep doing it as long as we're recording.
It's nice. That's a cool tier.
Some of the weirdest movies we've done has been because of Patreon. Like my boy Joey from the Soul Wizard podcast, it's because of him that we watched Roller Gator. If you know that movie.
I do not know that movie.
Well, let me enlighten you. I would say if you listen to that episode pretty much a catchphrase from PJ just says "fuck you, Joey" because of that movie. That's like every time Joey is mentioned, that's what PJ said. And PJ legitimately, I have a picture of it somewhere on Twitter. PJ fell asleep standing up watching that movie. He stood up to try and wake up, and he fell asleep standing up.
What was it? Boring? Like, was it just he was tired, or what did he like? Why does he?
It was boring. I mean, it was funny because it's just so stupid. But basically, the premise is there's a roller gator, or not roller. There's an alligator, but it's like a hand puppet, and it's very noticeably a hand puppet. And it's always there's a girl that's carrying it around in a backpack, and people are like, I think what's his name? Fuck, my mind just blanked. The guy from Soul Taker. Mystery Science Theater fans know what I'm talking about. But he's trying to get the gator, and he sends like ninjas and shit after it. So there's like ninjas on skateboards chasing the roller gator, and the gator raps at multiple points in the movie.
Got it. And
the whole entire movie, there's like this weird guitar, I don't even know what to call it, like kind of banjo music playing, and it never stops the whole movie. It's hard to explain.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So you have that tier, and then you have what's the other tier? So there's another tier where they can make you watch 3 movies.
Oh, it's the $1 tier. You can make us watch a movie once and get all the other stuff. But the $3 tier, you just make us watch a movie over and over again. Like once we get to the next round of people, you can give us another one. Got it. So it just kind of cycles through, and then there you go. Yeah.
And those are the 2 tiers.
Yep. Yeah, we keep it cheap. I ain't asking for that much.
Nice. Cool. Is there anything else that you want to tell anybody that watches this later, or the one person that we have watching it now? We're just getting this going and figuring it out, and it's only in this Facebook group.
I want to say, I see Joey says Saints Row was never good. That's false. I love Saints Row 1, 2, and 3 is cool. 4 is like, but 1, 2, and 3, I'd always love those games. I actually stood in line at midnight to get Saints Row 3. I still have I bought the deluxe edition that came with they were like headphones, but they auto-tuned your voice. So I would plug them into my phone and call people auto-tuned and fuck with them all the time when I was younger.
How much longer do you have of school till you're done?
October 20th.
And then you're done.
I'm done as far as I'm concerned. I'm done.
Nice.
They want me to go further. I'm like, no, I'm good.
I'm good. It's school's fun and rough.
It took a lot for me to even go back because I technically went to school before. I have a degree in radio and television broadcasting.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah,
you didn't do anything with it, or
I'm doing this.
Well, yeah, you are doing this. You are doing something. I meant like you're doing this, but you're not doing this in anything else.
Legitimately, I wanted to, because I've always been wanting to do radio. I've always like loved playing music for people, DJing. I always want to do music, and I got an internship at a radio station. I went a couple of times, and I found out that the radio business kind of sucks.
Yeah,
because and like, because I went in there and I'm like, okay, you know, can I play this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, hand me a piece of paper. Like, no, you can play this. And it's like, oh,
yep,
that's no fun.
Yeah, well, too, when I was trying to find, I forgot what. So multiple times, so I had to take a step back from stuff, not take a step back, but slow down on some stuff from Age of Radio at the beginning of the year because I left my job at the bank because Age of Radio was like a side thing for me for most of this time. And so I had a job at the bank, but then I had this other business called 3T Warrior Academy that started doing really, really well. And I stepped back and I do that full time now, along with trying to do Age of Radio like 40 hours a week plus so that we can grow this and do what the original idea was. Yeah. And so like, but so anyway, so there were multiple times, even when I think I reached out to you or to PJ at one point in time and said, hey, does PJ want, like, I can give money for a record and then I'll publish it and then we can put it out. Yeah. And so anyways, during that time, I was spending a lot of time on I forgot what it's called, BIM or BMI or like something where you can go all the places where you go and get the licensing for the radio.
Oh yeah.
And so when you go there, you can just buy a radio license that most of the radio companies buy, but it's only like certain songs.
Yeah.
And that's why you always hear the same songs on the radio. BMI, yeah, Joey said BMI is in there. And so because at one time I bought a few songs off of it, but you can buy like a radio portion of it so we could just play them over and over and over, but you can only play those songs over and over and over. And that's one of the things that I fucking hated about like that. And then I realized that's probably how radio is, I'm imagining, because they're probably licenses. So
and if you there's multiple, I forget the name of the other one, but there's like starts with a U, but there's like probably 4 or 5 different ones. So if you want as much music as possible, you gotta pay for like 5 different licenses.
Yeah.
And that's trash. That's why I kind of do a little pirate radio I do outside of the podcast.
Hey, keep it up. Pirate radio is the best. You ever seen that movie, Pump Up the Volume with Christian
Slater?
Christian Slater, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great movie. So, but yeah, so Brent, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything. We'll have to go do this on a Twitter Spaces also. I was trying to set that up months ago, and then I stopped it, and then I tried to reach out to you again, and then that never happened, and now we're here. So we'll have to do it again. Yeah, we finally got something going, so we'll get more going. But is there anything else that you want to say before we end it?
Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Since I'm talking about pirate radio, go listen on Spotify. I did it outside of Age Radio because I didn't want to get you hit with no copyright, nothing.
Oh, you're good, man.
But I have HVH Radio, pretty much doing exactly what I wanted to do. I legit like when I got time, and I got to move. I make a whole playlist of what I want to play. God damn it. And sometimes it's themed, sometimes it's not. Like I did one episode that was pretty much just like the history of hip hop from the beginning. So it's like all music from like 1979 and 1984. I think I stopped that.
Yeah.
Like early stuff. And then I did a Valentine's Day episode that was all like baby making music, R&B, all that shit. And it was like 4.5 hours long. I had to actually shorten that episode because I wrote down so many songs in that playlist that it was like, it would have been 9 hours of music.
Wow.
I would have done it, but I was like, you know what? Nobody's gonna want to hear 9. I'll cut it in. I'll save some for next year or something. So cool. I do have HVH Radio on Spotify, Amazon Music, Anchor. Couldn't get it on Apple Podcasts, but I'm gonna try and get it other places. And then like I said, Home Video Hustle comes out every Friday.
Well, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, sir.
And if you guys are interested in anything, reach out to me on ageofradio.org. We're actually right now you can go and subscribe or join the network right now if you go to the website, but we're actually going to be removing that and doing webinars to show people, get like a bunch of people in one seminar to kind of talk to them about what Age of Radio is, and then we're going to start limiting the amount of people that come on a month just until we can get a better process in place, so we're not getting a bunch of people and then taking forever to get their landing pages up and getting them aggregated or getting their ads set up and things like that. You can check us out at ageradio.org. But more importantly, since this is about Brent, make sure to subscribe to Home Video Hustle wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, sir.
So we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, Brent. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Remember, subscribe to Home Video Hustle wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to join our Addicted Podcasting Facebook group. Go to Facebook, just type in Addicted to Podcasting and become a part of the conversation. And remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We will talk with you next time. If you liked this episode, make sure to like and subscribe to Age of Jeremy if your podcatcher allows you to. And if you don't know what a podcatcher is, that's where you're listening to the podcast right at this moment. If your podcatcher allows you to, please rate this podcast so we can get in front of more people. I would greatly appreciate it. Our opening song is Brave Faces Everyone by a group called Spanish Love Songs. The closing song is Threatening Each Other Recapitalism by Illuminati Hotties. Again, I use Neumann microphones, Steinberg's Cubase, the Zoom L8, and one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you next time. Bye.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.